Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Alright, first we need to understand the formula zero product property. If A times B equal to 0, then A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. Alright. So first, we need to solve the quadratic equation in the factor form. For example, if you have 2s times s minus 20 equal to 0. Alright, so you have either 2s equal to 0 or s minus 20 equal to 0. Right? And then 2s equal to 0, divide both sides by 2, s equal to 0, right? S minus 20 equal to 0, you add 20 both sides, so it can be s equal to 20. So you have two solutions, 0 and 20. Alright, let's take a look at the next example. For example, if you need to solve for a plus 1 times a minus 2, right, equal to 0. Alright, so this guy turns out to be 4a plus 1 equal to 0 or a minus 2 equal to 0. Then either 4a equal to negative 1, right? Because you need to subtract 1 both sides. And this one you're going to add 2 both sides, so it's going to be a equal to 2. And then one more step. Divide both sides by 4, so a equals negative 1, 4. And this guy you just rewrite it. So you have two solutions right here, right? Now, if the quadratic equation is not in the factor form, you need to factor the quadratic equation out first before we solve it, right? So for example, if you have 2s squared minus s equal to 0. Alright, so I need to factor s out, right? Because s is the GCF of this guy and this guy. So s times the first terms, I have 2s squared. I factor s out, which means I need to divide by s. So it's going to be 2s, right? So I put 2s here. The second terms, I have s and I factor s out. It's going to be 1, right? So minus 1 equal to 0. So then either s equal to 0 and 2s minus 1 equal to 0. Alright, so this guy turns out to be s equal to 0. And this guy, you just add 1 both sides. So it could be 2s equal to 1. Now one more step. The top, I just rewrite s equal to 0. Now I need to divide both sides by 2. So s equal to 1/2, right? And then we have two solutions, s equal to 0 and s equals 1/2, right? Now let's take a look at the next example. So for example, if you have 3s squared minus 15s equal to 0. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we just factor the GCF out, right? So the GCF of 3 and 15 is gonna be 3, right? The GCF of s squared and s is gonna be s, right? Then we have 3s squared. We factor 3s out, so it's gonna be s left, right? Now we have 15s. We factor 3s out, so it's gonna be 5, right? Minus 5 equal to 0, right? So this guy turns out to be 3s equal to 0 and s minus 5 equal to 0. Then divide both sides by 3, so it can be s equal to 0. Add 5 both sides, so s equal to 5. So these are two solutions of the quadratic equation right here. Now let's take a look at the next example. Alright, so for example, if we have the equation for x cubed minus 64x equal to 0, now you need to factor the GCF out, right? So the GCF of 4 and 64 is going to be 4. The GCF of x cubed and s is going to be s, right? So you have 4s cubed. You factor 4s out. So does that mean we have s squared left, right? So s squared right here. Now you have 64s. You factor 4s out, right? So we will have 16 left, right? So minus 16 equal to 0. Now remember we have different two squares, right? A squared minus b squared is going to be a minus b times a plus b, right? So one more step, 4s times now s squared rewrite minus 16, I can rewrite as 4 squared, right? Equal to 0. Alright, now s squared, which means a squared, right? 4 squared, which means b squared, right? So I apply the formula right here. So it turns out to be 4s times s minus 4 times s plus 4 equal to 0. Now you look at the formula right here, we only have a times b equal to 0, but we can expand this formula into 3, 4, 5, etc. terms, right? So if we have a times b times c equal to 0, and then either a equal to 0, b equal to 0, or c equal to 0, right? So I have 3 terms right here, 1, 2, and 3. So each of these terms should be equal to 0, right? So I have 4s equal to 0, s minus 4 equal to 0, and s plus 4 equal to 0. Alright, so for s equal to 0, you just divide both sides by 4, so s equal to 0, right? Because 0 divided by 4 equal to 0. Now keep in mind 0 divided by 4 is going to be 0, but 4 divided by 0 is going to be undivided. So keep that in mind. S minus 4 equal to 0, I just add 4 both sides, so S equal to 4, right? S plus 4 equal to 0, I just subtract 4 both sides, so S equal to negative 4, right? So we have 3 solutions. Now, what if the quadratic equation is not in the factor form, right? So for example, if we need to solve s squared plus as plus 15 equal to 0, right? So we need to factor this guy, right? So we need to identify a, b, and c, right? So a equal to 1, right? Because there's nothing in front of s squared. b equals 8, right? Right here. And c equals 15, right? So if you forget how to factor the polynomial, please check out the video in the description below. Alright, so I use S method to factor this guy, right? Because a equal to 1, so I just put c right here, and it would be right here, right? If a different from 1, you need to put ac here and b here, so keep that in mind. C equals 15 and b equals 8. Now you need to find two integers multiply equal 15 add up to 8, which is 3 and 5, right? So this guy can be written as s plus 3 times s plus 5 equal to 0. Right now is in the 0 product, so you just let each of this one equal to 0. So s plus 3 equal to 0, s plus 5 equal to 0, and then you solve for s plus 3 equal to 0, you subtract 3 both sides, so s equals negative 3, right? S plus 5 equal to 0, subtract 5 both sides, so s equals negative 5, right? Alright, so let's move on to the next example. For example, we need to solve for 4s squared minus 21 s minus 18 equal to 0. Alright, so in this situation, you see that a equals 4, different from 1, right? B equals negative 21, and C equals negative 18, right? Now, you need to put A times C over here because A equals 4, different from 1, right? So A times C equals 4 times negative 18, which means negative 72, right? B equals negative 21. Now you need to find two integers multiply equals negative 72. Add up to negative 21, which is negative 24 and 3, right? Now you need to rewrite this one as s minus 24 times s plus 3, right? Equal to 0. Now keep in mind this is not the final factor form, right? You need to take the constant right here, divide by a. A equals 4 right here, right? And this guy you need to divide by 4, right? And then you simplify it as minus 24 divided by 4 is going to be 6. And then this guy you cannot simplify, you need to multiply this like this. So it's going to be 4 times s plus 3 equal to 0. Alright, so this is the final factor form. Keep that in mind. Alright, so this is the zero product. You just let each of this one equal to 0. So I have s minus 6 equal to 0. 4s plus 3 equal to 0. Alright, and then solve for s. So the first one I just add 6 both sides, so s equal to 6, right? The second one I just subtract 3 both sides and divide by 4, right? So s equals negative 3, 4, right? And this is the final answer. Now let's move on to the next example. So for example, we need to solve 4v squared equals 8v. Now this is a common mistake. If you divide both sides by v, that's most students do it, you will miss solution. So when you see the equation like this, you need to subtract av both sides. So it will be 4v squared minus 8v equal to 0. And then you need to factor the GCF out. So I have the GCF of 4 and 8 right here. It turns out to be 4. GCF of v squared and v is going to be v, right? So the first terms right here, I have 4v squared. I factor 4v out. I have v left, right? So I put v right here. Minus, I have av. I factor 4v out. So it turns out to be 2. So it's going to be minus 2 equal to 0. And then this turns out to be a 0 product. So it's going to be 4v equal to 0. And then v minus 2 equal to 0. And then the first one you divide both sides by 4. So v equal to 0. The second one you need to add 2 both sides. So v equal to 2, right? So you have two solutions, 0 and 2, right? So you need to write your solution like this, 0, 2, like that. Make sure you put the curly bracket, don't put the parentheses, so keep that in mind. Or you can leave the answer like this, right? Now, let me solve by making a mistake, right? So if I make a mistake, it's going to be like this, divide both sides by v. So I have 4 v squared divided by v equals 8v divided by v, right? And then this guy cancel out, so I have 4v equals this guy cancel out, equal 8. So v equals 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2, right? So I only have one solution, which is not right, right? I need two solutions right here, right? So that's why you miss one solution. So by doing this way, this is wrong. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to the next example. For example, I need to solve v plus 8 altogether square equal to 0, right? So you have the formula a square equal to 0. You only need a equal to 0. That's it, right? So in this situation, a, which means v plus 8, right? So v plus 8 square equal to 0. I need v plus 8 equal to 0 only. And then I need to subtract a both sides. So v equals negative 8. So I have one solution, right? Now, the next example, if you have k minus 4 altogether square equal to 0. Alright, you do exactly the same thing. You only need k minus 4 equal to 0, right? And then k equal to 4, and this is one solution. Now, in order to solve quadratic equations by factoring, the right hand side must be equal to 0, right? Keep that in mind. Right? If the right hand side is not 0, you need to move every single thing on the right hand side to the left hand side to make the right hand side equal to 0. Now let's move on to the next example. For example, I need to solve for n squared minus 4n minus 5 equals negative 2. Alright, so in order to solve quadratic equation, you need to turn this one into as squared plus bs plus c equal to 0. The right hand side must be equal to 0, so keep that in mind. Alright, so right here I have negative 2. I need to add 2 both sides, so I have 4n squared minus 4n minus 3 equal to 0, right? Now, a equals 4, b equals negative 4, and c equals 3, right? I use the S method to factor this one out, right? So I have a equals 4, so I need to put AC right here. Equals 4 times negative 3, which means negative 12. And b equals negative 4, right? Now I need to find two integers multiply equals negative 12 add up to negative 4. So it's gonna be negative 6 and 2, right? So this guy can be written as n minus 6 times n plus 2, right? Equal to 0. Now keep in mind, this is not the final factor form, right? You need to take the constant right here. You divide by a which means 4, right? So divide this guy by 4. Alright, so you need to simplify. So this guy turns out to be n minus 3.5, right? Times this guy n plus 1/2, right? Equal to 0. Now you either leave like this or you just multiply it like this. So it's gonna be 2n minus 3 times 2n plus 1 equal to 0. And this is the final factor form, right? Now you just let each of them equal to 0, right? The right hand side must be equal to 0, keep that in mind. So 2n minus 3 equal to 0. 2n plus 1 equal to 0. Now to solve this one, you just add 3 both sides and divide by 2, right? So n equals 3.5. And this guy n equals negative 1/2, right? So you have two solutions. Now lastly, I just want to show you the common mistakes students mostly make. For example, we need to solve the quadratic equation for m squared minus 18m plus 20 equal to 2, right? They're gonna factor the left hand side, right? So they have AC is gonna be 4 times 20, it's gonna be 80, and b equals negative 18, right? So they found two numbers, it's gonna be negative 8 and negative 10, right? Because negative 8 times negative 10 equals 80 and add up to negative 18. So this guy turns out to be m minus 8 times m minus 10, right? equal to 2, right? And then they're gonna take 8 divided by 4, right? 10 divided by 4, right? Because a equal to 4. And then simplify this one, it turns out to be m minus 2 times m minus 5 over 2, right? So then you're gonna multiply this one. So it could be m minus 2 times 2m minus 5 equal to 2. And then they're gonna let m minus 2 equal to 2. And then 2m minus 5 equal to 2. And then you need to add 2 both sides, right? So m equal to 4. And then add 5 both sides and divide both sides by 2. So it can be m equal to 7 over 2, right? So they say, oh, solution right here. But it's not the case. So you need to get rid of this one because the right hand side is 2. You need to make it 0, right? So I need to fix this one. So I have 4m squared minus 18m plus 20 equal to 2, right? So I need to subtract 2 both sides. So I have 4m squared minus 18m plus 18 equal to 0, right? And then I see that this is 4, this is 18, this is 18. I can divide both sides by 2. So it turns out to be 2m squared minus 9m plus 9 equal to 0, right? And then I need to factor this one, right? So I have 8 times c equals 18 and b equals negative 9. I need to find two integers multiply equal 18 add up to negative 9, which is negative 3 and negative 6, right? So this guy turns out to be m minus 3 times m minus 6, right? And then I need to take this one divided by a equal to 2, right? And then I'm going to simplify, so 2m minus 3 times m minus 3 equal to 0. And then this guy is the final factor form, right? So each of this one must be equal to 0 because the right hand side equal to 0. So keep that in mind, right? Formula right here. So you have 2m minus 3 equal to 0, right? And then m minus 3 equal to 0. Now to solve this one, you just add 3 both sides, divide both sides by 2, so m equals 3.5, right? And then add 3 both sides, so m equal to 3, right? So you have two solutions, 3.5 and 3, right? And it's good time to stop. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember that if you failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine.